Have you ever wondered why you did something or said something that you regret to date? Yani, you just imagine, I wish I never said that. I wish I never did that. Having interacted with many people, especially people who've been behind the bars, a number of them will tell you, honestly speaking, I don't know how I got into burning someone. Someone will tell you, honestly speaking, I just found myself. Those are some of the terms that are known. You know, I just found myself doing it. I just found myself saying it. Maybe you said it to someone that took those words and later passed on. To date, you've never maybe been able to come into terms with it. Maybe you said this or did it to a parents and they're old and you're wondering, God, how do I erase this memory? Maybe you did or said something to your boss and that is what costed you your job. Maybe you slapped that child of yours and that's how they developed a condition. Could it be that's why even you're having quarrels with your wife or your husband? You abused, you used words that came to eat up your marriage. And the way you said it and how you did it has never left your partner's ears. They keep on listening and hearing it. Today you have said sorry, you have tried all the avenues and you seem stuck. Now, before I give you a solution, because I'm not able to address exactly, because you need to come and talk. Let's walk this journey. But I want us to go back to the nest. Oh yeah, rose by firmness. We are going back to the nest. Now, growing up, we have our own experiences. Everyone, including me, we have that experience that we went through that formed who I am and who you are. And so, as we move along, I want to give a demonstration that will make us realize why we do these things. Unasemanga, before I knew it, I had already said it. Where is it coming from? Our day-to-day experiences, especially growing up, has a very great impact. But then, most people are not aware of how impactful it is. I want to do a demonstration. So I want us to demonstrate something that reflects why we do what we do and how we do without knowing it, only to regret. Now, growing up, we had our experiences. Everyone had an experience, I included. And in this experience, some experiences were not very pleasant. Some were nasty, some were painful. Some are experiences that as a child you didn't have any choice. It was just to watch and just keep it. So this is a demonstration of what happens in our lives. And as I mentioned, an experience, I will add something to show how life is. So this is our life. Clear, very clear, very, very clear. The water is very clear, you can see. This is how our life was. Haikuwa na story mob. We were all happy day one of being born. Along the way, you find someone who abused you and called you an indecent name. Maybe akakall mjinga, called you a fool. You wondered why they called me. So this is something that added into your life. I hope you can see how it is decanting. Along the way, maybe you got a sexual abuse. Someone abused you, having unconsented sex against your will. So this is another thing that happened. So we add something that you never planned for. That was not good. It was painful. Along the way, maybe you saw your parents fight and abuse each other. That is an experience that you saw. You remember very well. And those of you who have been able to come for therapy and did what we call self-discovery, I always tell you to give me a life and tell me more about your life growing up. I always take you back to the nest. Because this is the nest. Remember, as a child, you have no choice of where you are growing. You have no choice of what is happening. So this happens to be an experience. Maybe still growing up, you saw your parents separate. Oh, it was such a loss. And so separation is also an experience. That was nasty. As things happened along, you went to school. Maybe you are not a very good person in studies, and you are not a good performer. And there's this person who just looked at you and called you useless. Oh, it's an experience. You remember how you felt? Mm-hmm. It is an experience that you went through. And so in life, we have a lot of experiences. Every time something happened, it got into your life. And it just sinks, as you can see. It just goes down and stores itself in the memory, in your memory. And people tend to think you are okay. By the way, by the end of the day, after all been said and done, every experience, they just sink, they are pushed into the subconscious, and you think you're all okay. But then I'm here to address why we react the way we do. As you can see, there is a whole layer of experiences that has decanted. This exactly reflects how things pile up in our mind, in our memory, in our mind, and they just wait for someone to remind you of an experience that you went through. And so, you are a good girl, you are a good man, you are a good colleague. Imagine you are just okay until you find yourself in an experience. You find yourself interacting with this man that is all innocent, just like you, but then they happen to touch you indecently. And what happens? What happens is that experience of this person who abused you is aroused. We call it trigger, and this is what I'm going to demonstrate. So this person was actually, remember in the Anaria video, we had addressed something we call love language. Maybe this person loves touching, and so someone came and hugged you and just touched you. But then it took you back to a time and season where someone touched you and went ahead and did an indecent act on you. So the touch just triggered the pain. So you see what happens. So you are all okay, well settled. Maji hata ilikuwa sawa, you could even drink it. But the touch went and to your memory, aroused your memory and triggered this pain. And so all of a sudden, this is how you are. All of a sudden, before you know it, you have slapped someone. All of a sudden, you have abused someone, only to realize, hiya, I was just touching you. I was expressing a point. Now, before you apologize, you've already caused harm. Many people have lost their marriages. People have lost their jobs, as we began by saying. People have said things that they can never take back because they have a lot of pain that is deep down in their mind. And triggers have always happened. Now, because of how life is, at any given time, you'll have a colleague who will trigger you in the morning. Someone will just shout. I must say and I must confess, out of many experiences, you realize that some of us don't like raised voices because it reminds you of somewhere things happened. And it reminds you of a nasty experience. So one day you'll have a colleague who can be loud, and he or she will come shouting, hey, you guys, and talk. And all of a sudden you're like, come on, behave. Unaza nyamaza. And all of a sudden you realize, well, this guy was just happy in his own world. That is called a trigger. So life has a way of triggering you. Now, my challenge is, unless you work on whatever is decanting, because when you talk about trigger, later, after everything cools, it has a way of again decanting and going back and settling. It is until you will one day get tired and deal with the content in your life. That is what is settled in your emotions. It is until the day you will start removing one thing at a time, realizing I went through abuse. You take abuse as an experience. You deal with the pain, the emotion that comes with it. Deal with it to the end and put it aside. The next time you came and say, I want to deal with self-esteem. Someone made me feel insufficient when they told me I am just a fool and good for nothing. You get into your life. We deal with what we call esteem issues. These are esteem issues. You realize out of self-discovery that you are good you are good enough, and you remove it. So if we do this and you keep on removing, by the end of the day, we'll have water, we'll have you without anything anything that is below or in you. By the end of the day, even if you keep stirring, nothing will come out. So this issue of saying nilijipata, I don't know how it came from. I just found myself. You never found yourself. It is just a trigger that came to start what in you is in you. Join the program of self-discovery. Join a program of working on yourself. Join a program. Come enroll. Say, I want to work to have a self-discovery journey. I just want to understand myself. We are going to remove every content that, when it is stirred, brings all this other side of life. And by that, you shall become better, a better parent, a better child, a better sibling, a better colleague, a better employee or employer. And together, we shall all raise a resilient generation. Remember, as I leave, parting shot, it's not about the stirring. Triggers will always happen, but what is decanting is what comes. And you find yourself doing what you hate, and you cannot take back. So join me, Rose by Farm Nest Hub. We go back to the nest and become better. See you.